So I remember getting to the second island, and so I was dealing with that, and I mean, I can't think of what exactly was my favorite part about the game, just because, I don't know, if I would have experienced that game when I was 20 or 18 or something, it would have been a lot different than had I done it, when I was 13. So that was always something, but still the effects of it ended up being rather well put together. And so as it continued, Vice City came out, and then that was drenched in the 80s. And of course I knew less about that, but they got people like Ray Liotta and a bunch of other people involved with the series. And that, to speak the truth about Vice City, that game did not really kind of dominate as much as it could have. It was one of the best-selling games for that machine, but it just didn't end up really coming out, because it's May 2003, I think people were on to new things. But then after that, there was San Andreas. And that, San Andreas, I ended up owning that game, and that was at a good point in my life, just because San Andreas was good, just because Halo was coming out around that time. And there was also, well, I guess I could show my Red Bull. I've got a Red Bull drink that I brought with me. So once again, I am found drinking that. I brought a Fast Break. So I thought ahead as far as snacking. I do have to kind of watch my weight somewhat, but I think I can pretty much have one candy bar or the like. But so yeah, San Andreas had come out, and this one was a little bit more relatable just because I knew people who were actually in the game. They were trying to be rap. Of course, there's black characters in the game. The gangster rap thing, was just something to embrace at the time, but it was kind of at a peak height just because they centered it in 1992, which was at the point where this sort of thing was budding and not dying. So I did like that. I actually have a memory of I wound up playing that game. I didn't play Vice City that much just because I was playing Kingdom Hearts. So I got both of those games 2002, and I played Vice City for a couple months, but then after that it was just way too hard. Those boating missions were they were a vice. They just sucked. This simple and plain, they sucked a lot. And so there was that, and I definitely remember at least attempting to play the game. I did like the story, and I remember reading about it and them saying that there's a lot of twists and turns in the story, but I just didn't really get to it. So I was happy that YouTube came along years later so I could actually see the game being beaten. Because back in 2003, if you couldn't beat the game, you didn't see the ending. So, but, of course, I'm trying to think of what else was big around that time. Simply because, there were so many games. Like, what would have been the holiday games for people in 2002? And that was the problem, it was so fucking difficult to think of what was worthwhile, like, we just needed more big things like Grand Theft Auto, but they just weren't there. That was the main thing, was, you had these games, but you had to really hunt for the rest of them, which was a big reason why when I played the PlayStation 2, I didn't play it that much. I did end up playing Kingdom Hearts throughout 2003. I'd probably beaten it by April of 2003. And then I just quit playing my PlayStation 2. Which I mean, as far as video games were concerned, I wasn't really playing a ton of them in 2003. Like, I was thinking perhaps it might have been something like, yeah, I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I rented. But GTA San Andreas, I mean, that one, I got that when it came out. I was ready for it. Like, it came out in October, and I said, most definitely am I going to get this game.